The new schoolteacher asked why I never married. And I said, I was waiting for you. The old wooden schoolhouse at the edge of Willow Creek had seen many faces over the years. Children had grown up within those walls, teachers had come and gone, and generations of families had passed through its doors. But for me, the little schoolhouse was more than just a building. It was where my life had quietly waited for a new chapter. My name was Thomas Carter. I was 42 years old, a farmer, and the kind of man people described as too serious. I woke up before sunrise, worked until my hands ached, and returned home to a quiet house where only the sound of the wind kept me company. The people in town often wondered why I had never married. Thomas, my neighbor would say, laughing, you're not getting any younger. Are you planning to marry your cows? I would smile and shake my head. Maybe I'm just waiting for the right person. They thought I was joking. But I wasn't. Years ago, I had loved someone. Her name was Emily. She was the first person who made me believe that life could be more than work and responsibility. We dreamed of building a home together, but fate had other plans. Her family moved away, and slowly, our letters stopped coming. I never hated her. I never blamed her. I simply carried the memory. After that, I convinced myself that if love came again, it would come naturally. I didn't want to force something just to avoid being alone. Then one autumn morning, everything changed. A new schoolteacher arrived in Willow Creek. Her name was Clara Bennett. The first time I saw her, she was standing outside the schoolhouse struggling with a box of books. Her brown hair was moving in the wind, and she was trying to keep the papers from flying everywhere. I stopped my horse and walked over. Need some help? I asked. She looked up and smiled. I was hoping someone kind would come along. I picked up the box. Well, you got lucky. Most people in this town are kind. She raised an eyebrow. Most. I laughed. I'm still deciding about myself. That was the first time she laughed at something I said. And somehow, that small moment stayed with me. Over the next few weeks, I found myself visiting the school more often. Sometimes I brought firewood. Sometimes I fixed a broken window or repaired a fence post. I told myself I was only helping because the school mattered. But deep down, I knew the truth. I wanted to see Clara. She was different from anyone I had ever known. She wasn't impressed by money or land. She cared about people. She remembered every child's favorite book, every parent's worry, and every small detail about the town. One afternoon, I saw her sitting outside the schoolhouse after the children had gone home. You look tired, I said. She looked up. Teaching 30 children can do that. I smiled. I don't know how you do it. She looked at the fields around us. Because every child deserves someone who believes in them. Her words stayed in my mind. Clara asked me about my life, too. You've lived here your whole life. Almost. Do you like it? I looked at the farm in the distance. It's home. She smiled. Do you have family? I hesitated. No wife. No children. She looked surprised. Really? A man like you never married? I shrugged. Life just happened. She studied my face. Why did you never marry, Thomas? The question caught me off guard. I had heard it many times before, but something about the way she asked made it feel different. She wasn't teasing me. She genuinely wanted to know. We were standing beneath the old oak tree beside the school. The evening sun painted the sky gold, and for a moment, everything felt quiet. I looked at her. And I decided to tell the truth. I guess I was waiting for you. Her eyes widened. For me. I smiled nervously. I know it sounds foolish. No, she said softly. It sounds unexpected. I looked away. I spent years thinking I missed my chance at happiness. I thought maybe some people were just meant to live alone. She stayed silent. But then you came here, I continued. And you reminded me that kindness still exists. You reminded me that life can surprise us. Clara looked down. Thomas, you barely know me. That's true. And you're saying you waited for someone you never met. I laughed quietly. Maybe I didn't know your name. Maybe I didn't know your face. But I knew I was waiting for someone who made me feel this way. She smiled. What way? I looked at her. Like I finally found what I was missing. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then she said something I never expected. Do you know why I came to Willow Creek? I shook my head. No. She looked toward the schoolhouse. I spent years teaching in crowded cities. Everyone was always rushing. Everyone wanted more. More money. More success. More attention. She paused. I wanted a place where people still cared about each other. She looked back at me. I think I found it. The months that followed changed everything. Clara and I became close friends first. We walked through the fields, talked about our dreams, and learned each other's stories. I learned that she had lost her parents when she was young and had spent years taking care of herself. She learned that behind my quiet nature was a man who had spent years protecting a broken heart. The children noticed before anyone else. "Are you and Miss Clara getting married?" One little boy asked me. I nearly dropped the wood I was carrying. "Why would you ask that?" He shrugged. "Because she smiles more when you're around." I didn't know how to answer. But I couldn't deny it. One winter evening, I found Clara outside the schoolhouse watching the snow fall. "Cold night," I said. She turned. "But peaceful." I stood beside her. "Clara." "Yes, I know we never planned this." She smiled. "Most important things aren't planned." I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out a small wooden box. Her eyes widened. "Thomas, I spent my whole life thinking I was waiting for the right moment." I opened the box. "But I realized the right moment was when you walked into my life." Tears filled her eyes. "Are you asking me something?" I smiled. "Yes." She laughed softly. "You finally decided." I did. She looked at the ring. "After waiting all these years." I nodded. "For you." She covered her mouth, trying not to cry. Then she whispered, "Yes, Thomas. Yes, yes." The whole town celebrated when we announced our engagement. The same people who once joked about me growing old alone now smiled and said they always knew I would find someone. I reminded them that they definitely did not. Years later, people still talked about the day the old farmer finally found love. The schoolhouse became even more special. Clara continued teaching, and I helped whenever I could. Children grew up and moved on, but they always remembered the teacher who believed in them and the farmer who finally learned to open his heart. Sometimes, when the evening sun covered the fields, Clara would ask me, "Do you ever regret waiting so long?" I would look at her and smile. "No, not even one day." I would shake my head. "Because if I had found love earlier, I might not have found you." And she would smile. Because we both knew something important. Sometimes, life doesn't give you what you want when you want it. Sometimes, it asks you to wait. And sometimes, the person you've been waiting for is worth every lonely day that came before.